Hi, good day everyone. My name is Alex. I'm the International Training Manager and Ubiquiti Pre-sale Solution Specialist. Just wanted to do a very quick video here on the Ubiquiti Connect devices and essentially run through the technical setup of these devices and see how they would fit into both your business or your customer's environment. As with all of our videos and webinars, please feel free to send through any suggestions for additional content that you would like to see, or if there's specific features on the devices that you would want to see, please feel free to raise that back to us. We're always happy to escalate that through to Ubiquiti as well. So for content suggestions, questions, etc., or even pre-sales assistance or post-sales, please feel free to reach out to either myself or our technical team. Our details will be shared directly at the end of this video as well, so please feel free to take a look at that. So with that, we're going to delve straight into the Ubiquiti digital signage solutions. So obviously, as the name implies, Connect is there to enable businesses to display digital content. Many businesses need signage of some sort. So whether this is just the name of the company that's displayed on a wall somewhere, or videos of the products that the company sells, or just even listing events that are occurring through the day. Uh, there's a broad range of applications. I think I'm preaching to the choir here. Don't need to explain all of them to you, but there's a huge ton of use cases for this. And typically where we see these things being deployed is in retail spaces, malls, sporting events, exhibitions, you name it. There's a ton of different places where these things are being used. Uh, Obviously, there needs to be a broad range of content types supported with this, and also the ability to kind of customize your solution to what you need. So there's always this question about where exactly this fits in. From the very high-end commercial digital signage solution side of things, it's often very expensive to go for those types of solutions. And on the opposite side of the scale, you will typically find uh, just people using normal Windows PCs or thin clients to display this digital content. So Ubiquiti kind of fits in between. They they don't want to design a massive national network of digital signage solutions. That's not what it's for. You can probably scale it up to that if you wanted to, but really this is more applicable to businesses, or let's say, for example, an entire shopping mall where you're fitting out multiple sources of digital signage throughout the business. Also, I want you to think of it more as a digital interface rather than just displaying content to people. Instead, think of it like an interactive content source as well, so something you can interact with. And we're going to see that through the Connect displays that we see in a second. So some of the most important features in terms of the types of content that you can interact with. One of the key devices for Ubiquiti is the Connect display. And what this does is it allows you to do, for example, Android applications on this display. So think about where you would use Android applications, so stuff like visitor management, for example. That would be a good use case. Restaurants, interactive menus. It's a broad range of applications for that. So Android applications are very, very powerful for this. We are going to set that up as well. Of course, you can do traditional media content playback. So if you're just playing back a video, for example, yes, 100% possible. And of course, they have interactive web browsing as well. So this is something we are going to set up. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of how it's set up in our environment. And as I said, it's interactive through the fact that you can use it as a touchscreen. So you can tap on the screen, navigate through web pages. It has a on-screen display for a keyboard. It makes it super easy for you to uh, navigate through different pages. So because it's web-based as well, you can think of the different content sources for web pages. So whether you're just running a simple form that you want someone to complete, or if you're managing your visitor management systems through a web interface, all of these would be very applicable. And of course, they do traditional digital signage layouts as well, where you can display multiple content types, media sources, add your own images, etc., to customize this display. So we're going to take a look at that in a second. Just very quickly before we get into the technical setup, just want to point out kind of what the minimum parts list is. So this is the Ubiquiti Cloud Gateway connecting back to a Ubiquiti switch. The cloud gateway can obviously be in a million different types, not a million, but a few different types. So you can have something that's rack mounted, like the UDM Pros in this instance. You can have the Dream Walls. You can even use one of Ubiquiti's compact desktop form factors as well. A lot of those do support additional capabilities around Protect and Connect, etc. as well. So from here, what you would do typically is connect your cloud gateway to its internet source. You can upload content to your cloud gateway through the internet. So if you're managing this remotely and you want to upload new videos or something along those lines, 100% possible to do it that way. A lot of these devices are meant to be powered via PoE, so hence the PoE switch. Uh, that being said, some of them do have the capability of using USB-C instead. We're going to see that in a moment. From a ease of installation point of view, it is really simple to design your solution. The primary choice comes down to, do I want to have a digital display that is interactive, or am I going to use the existing monitors that my customer possibly already has? So if your customer has a bunch of monitors scattered throughout the building, then it is possible to reuse them provided that they are HDMI, which 99% of monitors these days would be. So this is kind of what you would require to get started, but there's a lot of flexibility around how you do this. So the first one is the display cast. So I know this has been around for a fair bit of time. Essentially what this allows you to do is instantly transform any HDMI display into a managed digital signage device. So through this you can do media content, playback at up to 4K and 30 frames per second, and you can even do stuff like YouTube videos. And it's basically compatible with any HDMI monitor or display. So if you have large media walls or displays, you can actually use that with this as well. You can also create multimedia playlists, and we are going to go through that setup in a moment. You can assign dynamic digital signage layouts through the Ubiquiti Connect application. So this one only supports the ability to do YouTube videos and media playback. It does not support the web browsing capability and doesn't support Android, just as an FYI. What is cool to me about this is that you do have the ability to automatically power on or off a display connected to this if that monitor has HDMI CEC. So this is a big one. Let's say, for example, your monitor is not rated to run 24/7. What you can do is you can tell this to shut down the monitor once the business day ends, for example. If it supports CEC, it should be able to trigger that. You can even do stuff like volume adjustment. So if some content you want displayed softer or louder than other types of content, you can do that. And you can obviously schedule when all of this happens. So this cast device does support PoE in, so you can power it via PoE, or you can optionally use USB-C as well. So at your own preference, you decide which one works best for you. And as I said on this, unfortunately no Android app support just yet. So we also have a new device that was introduced a few weeks ago, and this is the UC Cast Pro. This is quite similar to the normal Cast, but it adds support for browsing the web as well. I can already hear you screaming through the screen that how do you actually interact with it? If you're able to browse the web or point it to a website, then how do you interact with it? Because you're going to be connecting this to displays that are not typically touch displays. So how do you interface with it? This actually supports USB-C peripherals. So you can connect a USB-C mouse and keyboard to this, and you can browse the web through that, similar to how you would browse on a PC or something along those lines. Of course, it's more than that. You are able to present media content as well, this time 4K at up to 60 frames per second. You can do the websites, and you can do the YouTube videos as well. And it's, again, compatible with pretty much any HDMI display. Similar to the other one, you can also power off or on those displays as you see fit. Uh, Again, similar to the other one, PoE powered or USB-C powered. And something that is unique to this is the Wi-Fi auto link. So if you're using Unify access points, you can very easily just plug this device in through USB-C. It'll automatically discover your Ubiquiti access points and become adoptable through your Connect interface. So this is really, really efficient. If you have, let's say, for example, remote islands, as they're showing on screen, where you have a display that's in the middle of nowhere and it's hard to get cables through to it, it's a very good option. Provided you have power there, then you'll be able to set this up and essentially load the content onto that wirelessly. And then the Connect display, one of the big selling points for me personally on this display, firstly, it's uh, a very well designed device at 21.5 inches in size, and a big one is the PoE++ capability. So it's actually powered via PoE, not external power sources, no power source required. Basically, it means you just don't need to get an electrician out to go do this. So it's a touchscreen. It's designed for that interactive digital content, and it's perfect for digital signage solutions and places where you want people to interact with the screen. It's also very bright, so it's capable of going into environments where you have a lot of backlight. It's capable of displaying media similar to the other devices. It's obviously got web page support, and then this one also supports the Android applications and YouTube videos. The YouTube videos on this is still currently in beta mode, but from testing it works quite well. This does include the VESA mount as well, but of course there's multiple mounting options beyond that. So if you don't want to use VESA mounting, you can use or buy a third-party mounting options, or Ubiquiti sells a couple of different mounting options as well. With that, let's just jump straight into the technical setup. There's only 3 products from Ubiquiti in this range, so it's very simple but extremely powerful in what you can actually set up and do with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work through these devices and make them a bit more logical. I'm going to go through the interface, I'm going to rename them, I'm going to show you how these devices are set up. I'm not going to do the initial adoption because that follows the same logic as any of the other Ubiquiti devices. So in terms of the layout, this is very typical Ubiquiti, everything nice and clean. If you've set up an access point before, you'll know how this works essentially. And through this, I can very easily drill down into each one of these devices. I can get a lot of information about what is happening to this device. If I want to just assign basic content to it, I can do it directly from the device. Um, but of course, the preferred method here is to assign content in a more dynamic way. What I would normally recommend as well is giving your device's logical name something that makes sense, because you can have tens or hundreds of these things out on a site, and it means that it can be difficult to track where these things are. So I've got mine set up as front door display. That's literally at our exhibition center here in Adelaide, and makes it nice and easy for me to recognize where it's at. We are going to create the automations in a moment. I'm not going to focus on that right now, but through this we can see how long the device has been up for, the firmware version, how it's connected, and a lot of basic information about it. I can also power on or off these devices remotely if I want to. I'm going to add them into a group in a second to again add additional flexibility for assigning content. This device, the Connect display, does have a built-in speaker as well, so it is capable of displaying media content with volume. I can turn that off if I wish to, and then I can choose to say whether this device is allowed to auto sleep or not, if you want the monitor to be able to dim down. And this is one of the key things here, where we select the mode. So we can say that we either want to use the web mode, Android application, or we're just displaying media content, or for example, a YouTube video. I'm going to do that in a second. I'm going to assign all these content sources. This one already has a video assigned to it, but of course you can change that out. You can also say how this content should fit onto it. Moving over to the UC cast, so this obviously doesn't have a screen, but it has very much similar setup procedures. So from the uh, devices side, it's very easy to again say this device is powered on. You can say what the orientation of your display is, for example. So if you wanted landscape mode or another orientation, you can change that. You can also say if this device should automatically power on or off other CEC devices if you have devices connected. So this one, as you can see, it's a little bit more limited. I don't have the web browsing capabilities, etc., but I do have media and YouTube, for example. If I go to the groups, so groups are important for managing devices in bulk. So let's say, for example, you have a first floor of a building that's got, I don't know, 30 displays in it, and you want to easily adapt content to all of those displays in one go. This is primarily done through groups. So I've just given this, or I've just created this group. I'm going to give this a logical name, and I can assign devices to it. So again, if I want to apply changes in bulk, so let's say the media type is changing to something else, I want to display another video, I can do that through that. I'm also creating a secondary group here that's just called display walls group, and that is going to connect my other device. So let's say, or let's imagine that this is a digital wall that I have set up, and I have loads of content running across that. Again, just assign the device, and my groups are now set up and ready to go. Once these walls are created, or these groups are created, the next logical step is to obviously go import your media. So instead of just directly assigning media, we typically want to create either a playlist or a content layout. In this instance, I'm just going to upload a whole bunch of media. I'm just going to upload all the videos that I know I need to display on these devices. I can upload pictures, I can upload music as well if I wanted to, MP3 music, as background music, for example. And I can very easily just select what I want to upload. This is now essentially taking those files from my PC, it's pushing it across Ubiquiti's cloud and into your controller where that content gets stored. So in this, we also again have ability to create folders. So folders help us to assign the correct types of content to the devices that we want. Example would be if I had a leader content on here and Ubiquiti content, and I wanted to obviously pick parts of both of those segments to be displayed on different devices. It just makes it easier in terms of logical grouping. So I'm just moving these things into that Ubiquiti folder. So those are my two files, and then I can create another folder here called the leader videos folder. And once that's created, I can move my files into that as well. So pretty straightforward to do that, and this is mixed content type, so that's a video and a image, and I'm just moving it into that folder, and it's done. Keeps it logical, keeps it nice and easy to manage. I can also, if I wanted to, preview video through here, so if I'm unsure what exactly this was, I can preview it, I can rename it, I can assign it to a device directly from here, and I have a lot of control over where this content goes. So from a logical perspective, super easy, makes it really simple to manage your content. So the next thing we're going to do here is create a playlist. So obviously we want to very commonly have uh, sequences of media. So we want a video followed by an image followed by whatever we define. So if you haven't already, you can upload the media. In this instance, I've already added the media into it, so I don't have to worry about it. I'm uploading a MP3, and what I'm going to do through this is just add background music into specific videos. So if the video doesn't have content or audio that you want to use, or it's copyrighted material, then you can very easily overlay your own music onto it. What I'm going to do now is set up this playlist, and I'm going to say that this is my leader main entrance video loop, and it's going to be my primary playlist. I'm going to say that the slides transition between each other, so it kind of smoothens out the transition process. And I'm going to upload the different content sources. So I'm going to say I'm going to use the audio there. That's for my background music. And then I can also add additional slides, as they call it. So the slide here is just content sources, so different types of content. So I'm going to say this is my video and my image. I'm going to add that in. If it's an image, you can obviously dictate for how long that image stays on screen. In this instance, I can say this is 5 seconds, but I can change that if I wanted to. I can also rearrange the content display order. So if I wanted to drag the video to the bottom, I can. This video has audio, but I'm just choosing to turn that off. I can overlay that background music that we imported a second ago. So I've changed the order there. I can also preview what this is going to look like in terms of displaying content and then transitioning over to the next type of content. As you can see, the transition happened there. Went from an image to media instead. So very cool in the way that they've done that. So a lot of control over stuff that would typically be quite difficult to set up. It means that you don't have to be an expert in Adobe Premiere Pro. You can very easily just cobble all of this together and it becomes a unified experience. Once that's done, you'll see it creates that playlist. You'll see the playlist stays there, and that playlist can now be assigned to different devices as well. So instead of just assigning individual media, I can assign an entire playlist. So super easy to do. And again, you can be you can go completely ham here and add as much content in. You can have tons of different content displayed throughout the course of the day. Um, very, very easy to manage that. So content is assigned and it will already be displaying on that monitor as we speak. So moving on from there, we obviously want to be able to have more finite control over certain actions. So one of the key things that we normally do is do a layout design. So this would be where you would have, let's say for example, a background image, and you want to have a video playing over that. And let's say, for example, a ticket to say this is the 40% off sale or something along those lines. It's a very common use case, especially in retail. So we're going to do that. I'll preempt this by saying I'm not a graphic designer, so I'll probably win awards for the worst design of the year in this instance. But I'm creating a new layout. I'm giving this a logical name, something that I can remember. I can say how large this content type is and also what the orientation is. So is this something that's going to be displayed on a narrow display in portrait mode, or is this going to be landscape? I can import the background music that I created earlier onto this as well, and I can now start adding content. So first one obviously is media. Through this I can add the leader videos. So this one is, I believe in this instance, this is just importing it as a picture, but you should have control over that as well. So we can also say, so it's muting this video in this instance. I can import additional stuff here. So I'm importing a picture, and to change this or resize it, it's just drag and drop. You can also crop this directly from this as well if you want to. So adding stuff onto this display is, again, very easy. In this instance, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to add a clock onto this to just, even if I have static content in the background or dynamic content, I can just say, okay, cool. If you're sitting in reception, I want you to be able to see what time it is, and I can add the time in. And this will know based on the NTP time of the Ubiquiti controller exactly what time it is. I can change the format of the time, the color, the orientation, exact positioning, etc. So it's very cool how it allows you to change that quickly. And of course, a ticker is a very important thing for a lot of retail spaces. So here you can change the text. So I'm going to say buy one, get one free. That's not a real promotion, don't quote me on that. But this allows you to adapt basically the parameters. So you can go change the speed, change the font, change the background color, the text color. You can even change the rotation as I'm doing here. So if you want something that's just scrolling along the side of the monitor, it's very easy to go change that and adapt it. Of course, you can change the scrolling speed down to make it a little bit more legible. I can also add text onto this. So if I just want a static overlay, so even if this is a video in the background, I can just go that theta equals base service. It's my image or my text that I'm adding in. Uh, Again, you can even do entire lists through this, change the font type, make it as pretty as you want to, and it is really simple to set that up. So I'm just adding into the corner here. And the next thing that you can actually do as well is, let's say you don't have a nice image of what you're trying to display, you can use stock images. So Ubiquiti has a bunch of stock images that this references back to. This is created on a third-party platform, but you have access to its free images. And through this, you'll see you also have the ability to change your images in layers. So I can send a layer backwards. If I just want to use that as a nice background image, for example, that's exactly what I'm doing. So I can do layer management to put one video on top of the other or one image on top of the other. Means you don't have to go spend hours and hours creating a background image and then perfectly managing the video to fit exactly into the right space. You just do it through this. So that layout's now created, and if I wanted to, I can again go dynamically assign this to, or manually assign this to any of the devices. So I can say this is going on to my Connect display, and that'll become live near instantly. So as an overview of the automation is a very big part of using digital signage because you would typically want to say what happens to a display at certain time intervals. So instead of just displaying one video after the other, or one video, one image, etc., you can say that there's certain behaviors that occur at specific times of day. So this is a little bit scrambled as I run through it the first time, but I'm going to show you a real world example of this in a second. So through this, I'm going to create an automation, and I'm just going to give this a random name here. So I'm just going to say display UI content, and now I can select what the triggers are. So it's either something I trigger manually or something that occurs on time. So the trigger options that we have is when we set this is you can either specify a date range to say that content is displayed in this instance from the 27th to the 30th of November. It's displayed only on weekdays. It starts at, in this instance, I think it's going to be 5 a.m. That's what I set, or 5 past 5, 5 p.m., sorry. And I'm just going to then assign devices as well. So I can say that at that time, what's happening on this device is whatever I'm setting. So I can say, if I go to configure, that this device at that specific moment will be powered on, firstly. I'm going to make the volume nice and quiet. The orientation is a specific orientation. I'm going to keep it in, or going to make it landscape mode. And then I can say the mode is, I want you to display media content. Just going to apply that, and I can apply the actual content sources, etc., a little bit later on as well. So I'm just going to say display UI content in this instance. When we do the real world example, it'll make a little bit more sense. I can also see how these events fit into my calendar to see what happens every single day. So if I want to see what automations I've set up, it's nice and easy to get that. I'm also going to add the Connect display into this automation as well. And a powerful tool is that I can say that my Connect display should be powered on or off during this automation. So I can say that one display comes on and the other display goes down, for example. So if you want to turn on the digital signage on the outside of the building at night and the inside of the building during the day, that's 100% what you can do. You can fully automate those steps. And again, if you have a third-party monitor that has CEC, it just means you can power those on and off as well. So I've created this automation, really easy to do, just like the rest of the interface. And what I'm going to do next is just do a more targeted approach of these automations and see what a real world example would look like. I can also trigger the automations manually if I wanted to, but this is up to your own prerogative. You can change exactly how you want this to behave. You'll see here that I'm, based on my time of day, is decided to assign that content, and it's now instantly being displayed on my device as well. So really easy. And next up, let's do a bit of a more real world scenario. So I'm going to again create an automation. I'm just going to start off by saying that I want to display a web page during the day. So weekly, every week, I want from Monday to Friday, uh, from essentially 8 o'clock in the morning to, uh, let's say in this instance, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that I'm going to display this web page. You'll note that I'm only specifying the start time. This will make a little bit more sense later on. So I'm setting this to weekly, 8 a.m. I want you to start displaying a specific web page. So in this instance, what I'm doing is I'm grabbing my Leader Academy page, I'm dumping that in as my mode and my URL, and I'm just saying at 8 o'clock, Monday to Friday, it'll start displaying that web page. Super easy to do, but obviously you want more steps beyond that typically. So I can create additional automations if I wanted to. I can now say that at, let's say, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Similarly, again, just during the week, I want a different automation to occur. I want a different type of content or different device to be used instead. I am in this instance saying that it's the same display, but instead of displaying a web page, I can now do a video showcase. I'm going to point it to a YouTube video. What I've got is just a very simple setup guide that I want to show during the time of day. Pointing it to YouTube, I'm saying the volume is 0, but you can obviously add volume as well. Copying that link directly off of YouTube, pasting it into my URL, and it applies that straight away. So at 5 o'clock, it's going to transition from displaying the website to displaying the URL that I've just elected. And I can take this a step further as well and even point this back to Android applications. Um, I believe this is what I do here as well. Yes, so I kind of take an incorrect step here or misstep. What I do is I want to set this to view my Ubiquiti Protect cameras over the weekend. Uh, Although my logic was that I would have to sideload the Ubiquiti Protect application, basically go download the Android app and install it, but I was misguided. I don't need to do that. You can simply select a different option to more easily go do this. But you'll see it follows very much the same logic. In this instance, I'm just saying that it's firstly going to follow the same orientation. And in terms of assigning the content, I wanted to select the Protect app, but obviously I'm firstly in the incorrect device. I need to get the Connect display in because that's the one that supports the Android applications. And also I don't need to actually go sideload or install an application here. It does give you guidance in terms of how to install the Android apps. We're going to go see that in a moment as well. Most of the Android applications will work, but there is some restrictions around what those apps can access. So for example, it's not going to be allowed to access the storage. It's not going, oh sorry, the contacts. It's not going to be able to access certain parts because you'll need that on a mobile phone, but you won't need that on an environment like ours. So what I needed to do instead was tick that option that says Protect Application, and that allows me to pull back the Ubiquiti video streams from the Protect devices. So it'll know automatically that this is um, the, the controller that I'm connected to. This is the cameras that I want to view, and I'm doing the same steps. So I'm just saying over the weekend from, in this instance, I think it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Yes, I want this device to also function as a display for my security guard, and I'm going to configure it to be the Android application. And the app that I'm going to select is obviously preloaded, so it's Unify Protect. Just apply it, and once it's done at 5 o'clock in the morning on Saturday and Sunday, it's going to bring that up, and that stays the content for this. If we go to the calendar view, you'll see it makes a bit more sense now. So it says from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I'm going to run the web page from 8 and then start the video showcase at 5. And then over the weekends, I want to see the cameras. So it's just one example, but obviously you can have a lot more control over this. Based on the time of day here, it's also again decided that it's going to display that YouTube video that I've nominated as part of the automation. And if I want to verify this, I can go to the display and I can see this running. So this is the YouTube video. It's set up in our experience center right at the front of our building. You'll see it's got closed captions enabled on the video, and it is basically running through the content. It's me talking about how to set up your administrators. So really easy to go change that as well. And then from there, what we can do as well is see how this can point to different content sources. So if I change this to, let's say, for example, web, my intention of this device is to allow people to easily go onto Google, or in this instance, Google Maps. I didn't quite apply this correctly, so I was a little bit fast there, but let's say Google Maps. If you work in a service station and you frequently have people getting lost, this could be something you set up on one of the displays, and it's interactive, so people can tap on it, they can pinch and drag, they can do everything that they would. They can use it as an interface if they don't have a GPS. So this is it running just the Google search page. You can see the on-screen keyboard there. Super easy to go get that set up, and it's kind of content aware as well. So if you're typing, it'll know that it needs to bring up that screen to start using it. The last thing we want to do here is just quickly install the Android applications. So I'm going to go back to the Android app section. I'm going to assign this directly to this device. And I've obviously got Protect preloaded, but you can download or sideload your Ubiquiti, oh sorry, not Ubiquiti, I mean your Android application. So any, or pretty much any, Android application should work on this, provided that the permissions are correct. So again, I'm downloading that file to my PC, and from my PC, I'm uploading this onto the controller. It is going to take a second because this obviously is a fairly sized file. And also the other thing as well is it has to install this application. In this instance, I've installed the Ubiquiti Portal app. It's pretty quick to install it. I'm just selecting the application, and that's it. The application is now running on that display. It's as simple as that. Really, really easy. However, you'll see there's a slight caveat to this. So the good with the bad, I always show all aspects of it. You'll notice that the Portal app is running on the left-hand side, and I've got a third-party app running on the right-hand side. The Ubiquiti application, the Portal app in this instance, is in the wrong orientation, and that is because the app was designed to be in a portrait mode. It doesn't support landscaping. So when you want to use stuff like check-in systems, or if you have specific applications that you're using Android apps for, please make sure they support landscape mode. If you think about Android, it's primarily meant to be run on a mobile device, primarily meant to be run in a portal orientation or a portrait orientation. So that's why you're seeing it behave like that. These displays, the Connect displays, do have gyroscopes in them, so they can actually pick up the orientation of the display as well. So theoretically, if I were to rotate that display, it would be able to pick up that that's the correct orientation. Um, but for the most part, the application needs to be designed to support that landscaping mode to make full use of it. So the title app that's on the right-hand side there, this is just an example of an app. Um, Essentially, you'll see it's correctly placed, a correct orientation, etc. as well. So just something to be aware of. Just again, lastly, a quick note on the actual digital signage. So if you're looking at this for a more commercial solution as a replacement for large digital signage deployments, I just want to point out that at this stage it is not possible to report on the actual play time. So for commercial digital signage solutions, you often want to be able to report back to the people paying for the time on the display to say that we started at exactly this time and we finished at exactly that time with your advert, and you typically need to submit proof back with that as well. A lot of the times, what this means is people will actually record the digital signage and then include snapshots of that as timestamped back to the video footage. That's why you'll also often note that a lot of the large digital signage displays have a timer at the bottom of the display. It's for timestamping predominantly. Um, so that's a caveat to be aware of. There's no reporting per se on that. If you need to charge for content, I think that's kind of out of scope. Although Ubiquiti might be looking at implementing additional reports, I can't see any reason why they can't do that. During the webinar that we presented earlier today on the same topic, I was asked if it is possible to assign the content across multiple controllers. At this stage, also that is a limitation. It is purely restricted to a one controller at a time setup process. Again, I don't see any logical reason why that can't be developed in future, but I'm not a Ubiquiti developer, so maybe there's restrictions I don't know about. With that said, that's pretty much the entire overview of Ubiquiti's Connect product range. The setup is extremely easy. I think most people will be able to manage just fine. Um, at most, it's 20 minutes worth of learning, and you should be good to go. So really straightforward and lots of good use cases that this can be deployed into. Ubiquiti have some resources available to you, so if you're not familiar with Ubiquiti's resources, please do feel free to take a look at these as well. Very handy tools to go use on a day-to-day basis. I've kindly borrowed the slide from them to be able to show this to you guys. But from Leader's side as well, if you have any questions, both in terms of pre-sales, post-sales ticketing, ticketed support, all of our contact details are listed on there. So we have a team, dedicated people that will assist you on Ubiquiti inquiries. On the pre-sale side of things, as this is part of my role as well, I'd be very happy to chat to you, design these solutions and any enterprise solution that you can think of, whether it's one camera going into a building or 10,000 devices across multiple sites. That's what I'm there for. So please feel free to reach out to me. We do obviously have online training available, so through our Leader Academy page. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll probably have found it already, but the link there for your reference as well. And then, of course, Ubiquiti does have full certified in-person training available to you as well. These run in your state approximately once a quarter, and we basically present the certified training content to you. You write the exam and you get Ubiquiti certification at the end of that. The training is in depth, it is very valuable, and we get a lot of very positive feedback about that, as just a FYI. And then lastly, what I'll close off on is just Leader's value added services. So if you're not currently trading with Leader, so these are some of the advantages that we do offer. So for Australia, we keep stock in all 5 states, which means you get fast and local support. We have a local RMA team in all local RMA service in each one of those states. We do, as I mentioned before, have partner support, so pre-post sales, online training, and then we do have a ton of marketing resources if you want pre-made content to go out to your customers. We have advanced RA features as well, so if you want to swap devices if there's a fault, and of course the Ubiquiti certified training programs, which is available to you. Real world, hands-on, very practical, and done by experts. That's it from myself. Thank you so much for the time today. I really hope you guys enjoyed the content, and if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you. Have a lovely day.